concerned about trouble and trying to irresponsible, one-sided news stories.
Sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. As always, with me is Ryan. This is episode 31 of the weekly show, the week's hottest topics with a twist. To catch the previous 30 episodes, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ready?
Yeah.
Headlines. Arizona officer given 20-hour suspension after the death of his canine dog in a hot car. 20-hour suspension. That's not even a day.
All right. Do you have a problem with this?
I mean, yes. Granted, they normally go unpunished for,
Killing people, right? So a dog.
20 hours for a dog, I guess I don't know, step in the right
The
direction.
ratio's kind of there. So at least we're
Must
being
not.
consistent with the application. Of,
Clearly wasn't a black dog.
For real though, what's like the law on, animal cruelty and stuff? Like, what would that be for like a civilian?
I think that would
You gotta do
There's
jail
something.
time or serious probation, right?
I don't know. You probably get a fine.
That's a
You
dog.
You probably get a fine.
You know what's crazy? You put a cat outside, no one gives a shit.
No, they just roam.
No, I'd be like, this can't be alright. But like, it was a house cat that's declawed. I'd be like, it'll be alright.
He's
It
fine.
can jump.
Let that
Put a
cat
dog
run.
outside though. Everybody's like, oh, look at it. It's got sores on it. It's a stray cat. You're like, stay away from that thing.
I think cats aren't as domesticated. That's my opinion.
Cats willingly stay domesticated.
Yeah.
It's like a choice for them.
Yeah. Once they want to go outside, they're going.
Feral, it's no joke, man. You can't unferalize a cat.
We got some headlines that are updates of previous headlines that I remember doing. This is one of them.
Ooh, I like
Headlines. The quote is, "I got my name back. Dave Chappelle announces the return of his comedy show to Netflix."
Congratulations, Dave Chappelle.
As it turns
What
out,
was the premise that it was coming back? That he was going to get paid for it, or
yes.
like he owns the Masters or something, basically, or
They didn't say the specifics. I think he's going to get a cut. He's not getting the whole thing because at the end of the day, it's still owned by whatever company.
Comedy Central or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Well, awesome for Dave Chappelle. That's awesome. It's also awesome for us as consumers to watch the Chappelle show.
Yeah, like I said last time,
literally win-win.
I got it on DVD, so if it was off Netflix, I could still watch it whenever I want.
Watch this DVDs. It's so outdated technology. Dude.
Listen, I can't watch it on Netflix, so.
You think this will bring more this way? You think more people start getting cuts?
I don't know.
Because the Masters thing's been a big battle in music, right? There was always Michael Jackson, the Beatles. I believe Michael Jackson bought the Beatles Masters, and I mean, forever rappers talk about it now and stuff. Like, so like with the way the internet is and everything, you're better off trying to sell 10,000 copies that you own 100% of the material than trying to sell 10 million copies that you own 1/10% of. Even if they give you a $50 million advance,
Sure.
like if you don't meet these criteria, you're not going to get $50 million. We're going to take it back from you. So like they give you $50 million, but you're really in debt $50 million till you, like it's crazy. And that's why like people like that are monumental, like Joe Rogan, prime example, like being able to have his own network, and then he can market it and sell it for whatever he wants. And then for Chappelle to like stand up for himself, he's also standing up for all creators. Like, this is super important to the space, and all forms of streaming. Quite frankly, we don't watch nothing anymore. TV, even we stream TV shows. So music, everything's streamed. YouTube, it's all streamed. So Dave Chappelle's literally, when he's getting paid for this, he's up standing up for all creators on all revenue and all venues and avenues. And it's super awesome.
I think it's definitely
super awesome.
A step in the right direction, but I feel like it's probably going to start slowly with some big names. Like Dave Chappelle is one of the all-time comedic greats. So if
legend.
Yeah, if he's starting to slowly get his stuff back, like it's a slow step in the right direction.
Well, I know I've heard on other programs, more entertainment, music stuff, that within the next coming years, there's going to be more artist-friendly contracts at the studio level in the music business, for example. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, film is obviously a different thing. TV is a way different thing than music. But comedy in itself is very similar to music, that it's, performance, it's, all of that. Like, they're pretty much the same thing. You just do a different thing. You sing or speak. Yeah. And even the podcast thing, which is this is super important. Super awesome. It's happening.
Yeah. Step in the right direction, for sure.
Good job. Good job, Dave Chappelle.
Headlines. Poll. Support for third political party reaches all-time high as GOP fights over its future.
Oh, can't have that now, can we?
We'll see.
You know what the problem with a third party is? There's a couple problems, but one I would be fearful of is like there's all this speak of like how the parties don't fulfill the needs of the people because there's a certain level of corruption there. Mm-hmm. Well, the new party is going to be easily infiltrated. And I understand. And I understand that you could like take like whatever Oster Peterson or like some of these other people that have ran Libertarian, for example, right, and stuff them in that party and be like, oh, help us foster the Patriot Party, for example. Like, dude, they could get these fresh young people that you've never heard of come in there and take it over. I mean, if it happens after a country collapse, what makes you think it's going to be any different when you start forming the grassroots foundation for a political party? I mean, it happened locally here to Scope in New York State, which is Shooters Committee on Public Education, right? Scope acronym. And it was basically like a pro-Second Amendment group that their big thing was they weren't trying to legislate things. They were just trying to educate people about firearms so that they would think about the laws that they were creating about firearms very differently. Mm-hmm. Now, Scope started off with good intention. It was right around the SAFE Act time. That's when it had a lot of public momentum, a lot of public gatherings, et cetera, et cetera. I know people personally who said that thing is corrupt as hell now. And the people were bought out by politicians, and they're basically just in the pocket of politicians and voting away your Second Amendment rights in New York State, for example, in this instance. Yeah. But it's going to happen to any kind of affiliations. And it's going to be easier now than ever. I'm not trying to discourage a third party getting started, but third parties don't necessarily always bring good things. I mean, you could have gridlock. You think it's bad when two parties can't come together and reach an agreement? You know what I mean? Like, imagine having a third party with like equal representation and power. It happens in Europe, I guess.
My question is, I don't know do you suspect if anything were to happen, would it be a brand new third party that would come to light, or would it be one of the existing? Because there's other parties now. So when people talk about the two-party system, it's not technically a two-party system. I understand why people say it, but really there's, independent and Green Party and the Conservative Party and Libertarian Party.
I think we're having the wrong conversation, though. I mean, I really think we're having the wrong conversation. If we're discussing the need for a major third national, like a Libertarian Party or one of these ones you're talking about, right? Yes, David. Like, blow them up and put them on the main. Like, here's our third big party. Like, what we've been doing as people hasn't worked. People don't know what they want. They don't understand things. We're all trying to learn this stuff in real time. Like, it's so big and complex. Some people ignore it. Everybody apparently can vote, but not everybody's informed. Like, we don't have a good recipe to even sort out good public discourse about these issues. And we're talking about another party. Like, the party is going to solve the problem, which was that we don't talk politics and religion, and we don't try to understand them, especially politics in this particular instance.
I think I agree with you, but I think the thinking is that the first two parties have just gone so awry that they obviously don't serve any public interest.
Because you voted those people there, though. So what? You start fresh and you hope that it doesn't happen again? Do you really think that the other two parties are going to let you make a third party?
No, they're absolutely not.
So, like, we can say all this stuff. Like, it'd be easier to vote out the people in power already. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be an easier system?
Maybe. I don't know. But if there's a top-down issue with the major parties, which is no matter who gets in, they always just have to fall in line. You can vote people out, then you vote new people in, and then they're just falling in line with the what they're told to do. I mean, look what happened to what's her name, Marjorie Greene Taylor, or whatever it is. She put in articles of impeachment for Joe Biden. She got smacked right down. She got silenced and kicked out of these committees, and so if anybody comes in, if anyone fresh comes in,
change that though.
No, I mean, but I think the thinking is that something has to change with the first two parties, and if that's a new party, then so be it. It's almost like we're stuck though, because we keep going down the same road. Obviously, the first two parties, there's an issue, but then you need enough support to garner a third party, which that poll is showing that it's trending in the right direction. I don't think we're anywhere near having a third legitimate party.
Well, what's insane to me is like, it's great. People say like, oh yeah, let's make a third party. Be like, yeah, it's going to take like 5 years to manifest it and actually be able to run a candidate. Be like, oh, that's not, it's too long. And then people fall off because they have attention. I mean,
it would likely be way longer than that because
well, for sure. I'm just using that as like a metric of like, this isn't like we're not going to get a third party president this election. Like, it's going to take 20 years to win a presidential election with your third party candidate.
But so, like, see what you just said there. That's my biggest problem with the Libertarian Party. I feel like they put so much focus and effort on a presidential election. They're selling themselves short. They need to worry more, put more resources into the local, the state, get people into offices. Worry about president later. They put all their resources.
Get a track record, learn it, like actually develop strategies, and also obviously win people with your ideals, hopefully, and what you can, you're trying to promote.
They've not done a good job.
Fight the system, man, against these lockdowns and stuff. Like, just introducing policies that people like Andrew Yang was running good, right, in the mayor of New York City, and then I saw some things that the polls were flipping on him, but he had all that good momentum. He's able to call out all these shitty politicians on their bad mistakes. I don't know, dude. You're definitely right with the grassroots thing for sure. I mean. But yeah, it's going to be a 20-year thing to do that.
At least, yeah.
People have a hard... I mean, people sway in 4 years at the federal level. But they bat the line for whatever they've... I don't know.
Yeah. This isn't a new conversation. I'm trying to remember. I believe it was Ronald Reagan asked the great question, are you better off with a new political party or reinventing the current political party?
Yeah, Reagan, I think you're better off reinventing it. And Trump did, right? And that's why it's the fraction of the GOP. That's what's so funny about this third party thing, too, is like, it happened with the Tea Party movement, too, which was under Obama, which was like 10 years ago, right? We're talking about 10. So we're looking at this.
And that begs that's what adds to the point, though, is all those Tea Party people, very few of them long term ended up being what they were advertised as, and whether that's because they became corrupt by the power or whatever the case may be. Only a small handful of them really turned out to be what they said they would.
So do you think that is a failure representation, or do you think that is a lack of voter accountability?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, it's so funny because we get mad at politicians. We do it here, we bring up their things. But, like, if we keep voting these people in and they're giving us shitty policies, it's actually a reflection of, like, our choices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, our public conscience. And then we're upset about it. We're upset about the very things that we chose to implement by electing these people. This is the conversation we should be having instead of about a third party. We should be really questioning about, our merits as voters and what we can do with our vote. Your vote is powerful. And and especially after this past election, those 80 million Trump supporters, I think that got ripped off, they're going to look at voting very differently. And I think that's where a lot of this third party stuff is coming from, obviously, is the fracture in the GOP and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, how fragmented has the left been? The progressive wing. Do you remember that? There was no progressive term under Obama. That was not a thing. I don't even think it was coined yet. I just think there was these ideas of the same things maybe, but they weren't this separate like subsection of the left wing of government politics. That they're the progressive movement. And then Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, they're coming out of the woodwork as progressives, Kamala Harris, and yeah, that's I don't know.
No, we're going to see what happens going forward. I mean, the Libertarian Party, like I said, if they're the third option, they took a huge dip from 4 years ago. Whether that's due to part of this voter, I don't want to call it voter fraud, but let's say voter indifferences. We got to make sure we stay on the YouTube.
Maybe we should call it like
I think irregularities is okay.
How about we call it like voter competence?
Maybe.
I don't want to use their words. I'm so tired of like using their fucking language. They define language. They tell me what this is called. I mean, they define animals for us.
We just got to use like one of those like voter irregularities.
Bing. Should get the like Mortal Kombat guy
Our
on the side. Whoopsie. Whoopsie.
Speaking of voter irregularities, headlines. Pelosi, the next step. Because they failed.
What's
the next step in this Trump? What do you want to call it? A persecution of Trump? Next step is a 9/11 type commission to investigate January 6th. They're convinced. I'm telling you, they're convinced he was like he did it all.
Yeah, I really
was there himself.
This much attention to the Cuomo nursing home fucking scandal that they lied to the federal government about. I know I'm convinced. I'm mixing topics here, but Jesus Christ!
But he didn't incite violence by lying.
Trump did not incite violence. I listened to the whole speech. I don't understand how like he wasn't like, hey, go down there and like, you know what I mean? And for it, now,
he very clearly, Ryan, I have to take issue with this. He very clearly said to peacefully and patriotically let your voice be heard. If that's not inciting violence, I don't know what it is.
What, patriotism? They're gun owners!
literally peaceful was in...
What's also incredible to me is that they think an insurrection from right-wingers is a gun-free zone. Get the fuck out of here. Insurrection. You're lucky they didn't have... That would be an insurrection. People driving down to D.C. with guns is an insurrection. They're not going... My point, obviously we've talked about this, it's not right that they went in there, all this shit, even if it's like symbolically powerful and we can agree with the sentiments to some degree, whatever. My point is, like, he never incited violence, right? He never said go smash, like you said, his terms, Dave. But if anybody did break it and it was, like, plotted, you damn well know it's not going to tie to Donald Trump.
Well, here's the other thing that's interesting. They know...
For a guy that's so smart, if he can evade taxes all these years, you know what I mean? Like, He's so smart. He pays zero income tax. You say he's an evil rich man that ripped all these people off. He's so evil and malicious, but he's gonna get caught up on YouTube comments, basically. Like, come on, he's gonna get caught up in the 4chan dark web.
It's interesting that the FBI knows this was pre-planned, but they still blame Trump in his speech.
Well, David, you know what they call that, right? It's called doublespeak. It's in a book. Guy wrote it in the 50s.
I read a book once.
They were tremendous.
Headlines. Biden won't rule out using executive orders to crack down on Second Amendment rights. Per the White House. That comes from the White House. Maybe they're lying.
Not tyrannical Joe Biden.
He won't rule it out.
Won't rule it out. It's on the table.
What do you think
was going to happen? What's also incredible is they have a trifecta right now of power. We can't get it done. Oh, because it probably wouldn't surpass the Supreme Court, right, David?
No, they'll just, well, not right now, but you just throw a few more judges in there and you'll be good to go.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they would have to use executive action. Because, yeah, they could get the House, they could get the Senate, they could get the presidency, but it would go to the Supreme Court, which was supposedly our Trump card as our bullshit judges. And then they're going to defend us magically. Right.
We'll see. But that's why court packing was such an important issue in this election.
You know, I'm glad that when they said that they were going back to the old normal, they were absolutely right. Because if I remember correctly, right before the Trump administration, the president right before him famously said, "I have a pen and I have a phone."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad we're back to that. And to go one step further, tying into my last talking point last hour about an insurrection would actually involve real firearms and violence. If you're going to label that an insurrection of America. That's what's... Dude, I personally know people that would sacrifice everything. You know what I'm saying, Dave? Like, I know, like, what it looks like, and that's what you're labeling it. But, dude, if they've really thought they were going to overthrow the government, you know what I mean? Like, if that was a real insurrection against this system, it would have been a scary place to be. I know people that went there. I know people that were there personally.
AOC. I love having headlines about this person because you just adore him so much. Headlines! Bill Gates.
I fucking hate this guy, dude. This guy just needs to go. Can you take him, please, God? Just take him.
Rich countries should be eating 100% synthetic beef.
You know, it's going to be so incredible that I'm going to be so disarmed and so de-nerd with no nutrition for my soy plant-based burger. Do you know that soy, this is something I found out recently, soy in the male body becomes 100% estrogenic.
Yes.
100%. Like,
yeah.
Not a little bit, not kind of, not like you can handle 10 milligrams of, no, 100%.
Yeah, but to be fair, it would take a lot of soy to make any dramatic changes to you.
There's a lot of soy and a lot of stuff, dude. Everything is soy.
I'm talking like lots of Impossible Whoppers.
What if I get you Impossible Whopper when you're 2 years old, though, and you're like, don't need that much soy to fuck you up?
Maybe if you're... I still think like a 2-year-old might need like... I think he'd still have to slam down like 100 Impossible. Like, it's a lot. It's a huge...
Okay, the Impossible Whopper, yes, you're right. It would take thousands and thousands, David, but that's the point. They put soy in everything. It's in crackers and cheese, and it's in everything. So you're eating thousands and thousands of Impossible Whopper. We've eaten 1,000 Possible Whoppers before we ever even invented a Possible Whopper, because they've been spraying shit with soy in it forever. I believe Kevin had a whole segment on this in our podcast on this program called Those Who Control the Food, Control the People. And this is Bill Gates. We talked about it a few weeks ago. He has the most farms now in America. most farmland in America. And now he's talking to me about, what's so funny is they'll paint this as like a good thing, be like, oh my God, he's saving the world. But nobody's talking about how he's going to make billions of dollars on fucking the next wave of consumer food that's pro-healthy.
Can we just one time say the phrase, greasing the skids?
Yeah, remember greasing the skids? We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I saw a tweet that was beautiful to tie back to your other segment too here, along with this. The reason gun owners don't trust you is because of the very familiar term we use here of greasing the skids. And we've literally seen that with the COVID pandemic. They've taken your freedom. They told you where you can and can't go without a mask. You can't go to work. What's essential? What's not essential? What is close contact? This is like literally they did it to all of society, what they do to your gun rights. And we were told to not worry about it, not question it. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And now 500,000 people apparently have died from coronavirus. That's more deaths than we suffered in World War II.
But Ryan, a college in London said it would be well over 2 million. So we must have flattened the curve so well.
Was it people familiar with the matter about the 90% numbers?
Yes.
Do you remember when I brought up about the 90% the other week? Like, I know it was like wordy, but it's for real. It hit me again today. I got hit with a couple other ones. It was like, new Israel study, 95% effective in those who took the test. Like, oh, it's 90% effective. Like, yeah, of like 2,000 people. Great. There's only 9 billion of us.
You can really work a study to make the narrative whatever you want.
And they call me the science denier. They can't even like figure out basic analytics. I'm not even college educated. 100% me. Bill Gates, go fuck yourself.
So
that guy's gonna own all the land. Do you think he's gonna stop eating real meat? No, that guy is gonna be living in his fucking 7,000 acre mansion, eating out of like porcelain silverware made from like meteorites, and he's gonna be eating like a cow that was killed that day. He's gonna be listening to all the music on like physical vinyl CDs and everything else, and because he's got the room for it, because we're all living in our 200 square foot free apartment because Agenda 21. This is ridiculous. He's a rich guy. He's a rich guy buying up land, wanting to spray chemicals in the environment, talks about vaccinating the world. We say the guy's humanitarian. When he was a brutal son of a bitch. He was a cocksucker against his opponents and smashed everybody to be the best Microsoft could be. Richest guy in the world at one time, for a long time.
Yeah. Sadly, the best I could do was Xbox, so I'd say he failed. I like this next headline because I know there were so many people.
The philanthropist.
I know people personally who voted for Biden specifically for this reason. Headlines. The quote was, "I will not make that happen. Biden declines Democrats' call to cancel $50K in student debt." Well, I don't care.
I don't care either. They said old normal. This is the old normal. Say one thing, do another. Do as I say, not as I do. I don't know. You want to give these assholes more power. Like, they just fucked you. Like, all these kids that went to school for whatever degree, for hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, us as a generation is shackled with debt, they say, and we're going to be screwed over because of college debt and everything. Meanwhile, we're living the highest standard of living ever achieved in humanity. We're shackled with it. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to fix it for me. I'll just give him my vote. I'll just give him this. I'll give up this. Oh, I'll trade this for that. And then they lie to you.
Good.
Elections have consequences.
Good. Have fun paying your student debt. I'm
go-
bitter and fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Pay your own debt.
Don't take out loans if you want to pay them. I don't know what to tell you.
You signed the bottom of the paperwork, not 350 million Americans.
Yeah, I didn't sign the paperwork. Let's be clear.
And also, maybe the government should stop involving itself in education so that college has an incentive to lower the cost of it. Considering anybody that has substantial student loan debt to begin with is going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a social worker, a PhD, a physicist, like super high quality paying jobs. The only downfall for getting them jobs would be if you can't get a job, which then you're an idiot anyways. But what do I know? Because you know what, they might just accept a China guy that can do your job because he's a triple A+ student and you're white, so get out of here.
So we went over
fucking white male.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. We went over
the American population.
One of your favorite people already. We're going to move on to the next.
Ooh.
Headlines. Democrats accuse Cuomo of obstruction of justice over nursing home scandal. They're turning on him.
They're turning on him to cover their own ass because they gave that guy all that power.
Let's just throw this one in real quick, too. They're turning on him. Headlines. Ocasio-Cortez calls for full investigation of Cuomo's handling of coronavirus in nursing homes.
I saw Mayor de Blasio also was out talking against Cuomo. These people are only... And you know what? Cuomo's going to brush it off. Nothing's going to happen. Or he'll get investigated and he'll be acquitted. And then we're going to be pissed off as people were about Trump's acquittals. My point is these people, they're groveling because they allowed him to have this power. They fucked up too. Not just Cuomo. Kathy Hochul here locally. Mark Poloncarz here locally. They were all in with the government's decision. They are sinking with the ship. And then when the water is sinking on the Titanic and their toes are getting wet, they're like, oh my God, you drove us into the iceberg. You were giving them directions. You were fine. Like, oh, look at this cool ship. We're really close to some ice right now.
Well, that brings up the point. Where were they when he was enacting this policy? Not one of them said, hey, this is probably a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like all the people that went to school to be lawyers, they probably shouldn't be involved with the medical thing.
What happened to trust the science? We knew the data. The old people were the most affected by this disease, this virus, rather, and the plan was to just shove them all into a nursing home. I wonder why they would do such a thing, Ryan. Were they trying to flatten the curve, perhaps?
Ooh, you know what's also funny, right? Because he shipped them. He took old people from one area, moved them to another, as if almost to make the cases look better in a certain region of the state compared to the other side of the state. And then he had the audacity to blame us in Buffalo for not taking it seriously.
Ryan, if only a certain president had sent him, I don't know, like a large ship or
like
something.
A whole boat! A boat! A fucking boat! A Deathbringer boat that has fucking airplanes on it normally? One of those? A fucking Death Destroyer? We got fucking 50 of them. We're like, yeah, just park it in New York. Some countries don't even have one. They don't even have one. We're like, yeah, here, take this. We'll hold on to it.
Well, he turned it aside and sent the old people to the nursing home instead.
God damn it.
He wanted to flatten the curve.
I hate that guy so much, dude. I wish I could punch him in the face. Politically.
Figuratively.
It's a satire, folks.
Figuratively.
They brought down Alex. They're going to bring me down way before him.
We won't even get to that.
I just, for real though, like how long, I've brought it up to my mom a couple times, like other family, like how long am I supposed to be okay with, like this guy killed your grandparents. He didn't kill anybody I know.
Literally. Let's be clear.
Literally.
He literally, with his policy, killed your grandparents.
Yes. Somebody on December lost their parents to COVID grandparent to COVID in a nursing home. that could be potentially directly from
That
Cuomo's
policy.
And you know what? The nursing homes were in on it too. You know why? Because the governor told them if anybody or anything happens, that you'll get a free pass from the state and you won't be held liable. Oh, it's weird. Do you see the collusion with all of the pharmaceuticals and all of the power of health, that they're all negated from you suing them after they kill you with their policies and their stuff? This is insanity. Insanity. We're supposed to go to work.
I'm interested to see if anything comes from this. I fear he's gonna get away with this. That's my fear. There's not much is gonna happen. I swear,
if that asshole gets elected again in this state, I have lost all faith in New York State. I really have. I know people that have fled this state, but this is it, dude. Like the SAFE Act and some other things. If you follow politics around here, you know, basically right-leaning people, they knew that what Cuomo was. His whole family's corrupt. They got mob ties, all of it. I mean, what more? Could you imagine if Trump's kid worked at CNN and was interviewing him? Or at Fox News or something?
I don't think I have it in my headlines. Somebody said that Chris Cuomo is no longer allowed to do interviews with Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, that's convenient. It's just now, but he was allowed to do it the entire time when the fucking coronavirus was murdering people on his policies. Talking about neglect and everything else.
About what a hero he was, how he was saving the day in New York State. And how he's doing such a great job, he should write a book.
He won an Emmy for his performance. Government's performance. I thought government was we the people, Andrew Cuomo. And you get all the accolades. You get the bridges named after you. Your father gets a bridge named after him. I wouldn't even name the scum that grew on the bottom side of that bridge after him and his family. That guy killed your grandparents. And you guys are going to drive to work and say he did a good job and elect him again.
I'm interested to see what happens. I'm telling you.
At some point, I got to move out of this state.
I got two more left here, and this is another update on an old headline. And I got to say, this is my favorite headline from this week. And feel free, put it in below. Comment what your favorite headline is this week, but this one's mine. Headlines. Paid in Bitcoin. NFL offensive tackle Russell Okung considered the highest paid in the league. If you remember, he finally got, I think it was the Panthers, to agree to pay some of his salary in Bitcoin, and because of how Bitcoin took off, he's technically the highest paid player in the league.
Oh my God, because of the... Imagine going into that locker room of people that make millions of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars in their lifetime, and you go in there and they laughed at you or all this talk and the thing, and then you literally took the millions that you put in there, made you tens of millions in a day because Elon Musk tweeted.
It's almost 60,000 a coin now.
It was just 52,000 this year, last year, or something.
It was super low,
like 30,000 or something too.
I think it was below 20 when Eve bought it.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Oh my God, that guy, and it was probably substantial, right?
No, Eve. No, when Eve bought it, I think it was below 20. When Elon bought it, it was in the 40s, I think, but it immediately drove it over 50.
Yeah, he's accepting it at Tesla now too. To buy a car, which is like 1.5 Bitcoins. Do you know, there's a guy I know, and he's like saying it's all a scam and everything. It's like, you know, you can say it's a scam or all this. Like, our dollar's not backed up by anything either. Like, it's a petrodollar. There's nothing. The only thing that makes a dollar worth a dollar is that we just keep believing it's worth a dollar. It's paper. It's fucking paper. It's not. The government makes it worth a dollar. However they do that, far brighter people can tell you. I know that it's not good the way they've done it. I saw a number that 37% of all United States dollars in the history of our country has been printed in the year 2020.
Yeah, you're telling me that's still worth $1. No
Not
way.
a fucking chance. Tell me one thing in this world that when you take it and you make more of it, it's worth the same amount. Tell me one thing. I mean, don't you buy things in discount? When you buy in bulk, you save money. Why would money be contradictory to that basic trade principle? They've stolen bartering from us with money. We don't even understand what it means. Money is not even money. It's your theft of labor. And then you got to barter it. My point is tying this all back to your Bitcoin thing, Dave, is the guy always brings up how it's worth nothing and we're basically putting our money into nothing. Well, our money's already nothing. It's just belief that holds the dollar in value. And when our debts come and we have to sell things or however liquidations of countries go, I'm sure we can ask Trump about it. Maybe we'll sell a couple national parks. I don't know. But my point is like Elon Musk is deliberately and willingly eroding the basic principle of banking, something that's been held in the world since the 1500s. Florence, Italy was the first place to invent banks during the Renaissance in like the mid 1400s.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a little earlier than that. They started stamp coins and all that. It was when mercantilism ran. There wasn't really government. It was the merchants ran the towns because they were all merchant towns, waterways and stuff. So my point is like that system, like where you can go into endless conspiracies on the internet about this cartel, this cabal of people. Maybe it's just a cabal of people in banking are saying that Bitcoin is trash to keep the United States dollar secure and safe for us.
Maybe.
I trust Elon Musk over I trust a banker. Listen, Elon Musk's company has blast shit into space. I mean, we just landed on Mars this week, which was awesome. Awesome. They're going to go take samples of soil and stuff. And I'm seeing things that if it tests, this is basically going to test the premise of like evolution, obviously, in other areas of the universe. So it's going to be super crucial to humanity. Awesome. Good job, America. America got there, people. China isn't doing this. America is. But that guy, give it to him. That guy's blasting shit up there. And I don't trust the banks. I don't trust Bitcoin either. But
value's value. I'll take it wherever it is.
yeah,
speaking of
is value.
Speaking of a cabal of people, I think this one. I'll tell you what. When I saw this, I got a little upset. I assuming you have seen this. Headlines. Court documents show CNN and NBC each paid $35,000 to leftist arrested on Capitol riot charges. Trump incited the violence.
So nobody went to jail? CNN's not going to jail for paying somebody to incite violence on a national broadcast so that they can make billions of dollars in ad revenue?
No, they just
and
paid
then
for
they
the
say
footage.
it's an insurrection and paint a whole movement of people as insurrectionists? And then you're going to tell me you can impeach the guy over it.
Let's be clear.
This is so fucking. If this is not a kangaroo republic or whatever it's called, kangaroo court. I know. Banana Republic, is that the one?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think you mixed two terms there.
This is the banana court, okay?
Let's be clear about what this is. This is for people who say media does not have any sway in elections. This is two major media companies paying to essentially have a president impeached. It didn't cost all that much, quite frankly. $70,000.
That got sold out rather cheaply. They're motherfuckers, dude. I don't know. Still waiting on my $1,400, guys. Come on.
Well, there's people who are still waiting on their student loan to get canceled too.
This is incredible, man. So the government promises all this stuff, can't pull through for it, but then the news is freaking paying desperate ass people to like basically literally.
You got many stimuluses. Can you lie?
deliberately dividing America. Now, I know I've brought it up on our program before, but when I said they say Joe Biden can unite us, right? I'm like, oh, that kind of makes it sound like they know expressly how we're being divided.
That would be logical. If you know
I
what
think-
unites us, you must know what divides us, right? It would just be the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you can pay a guy $70,000 to ride around one of those very tightly carved divide lines, and then
Unite us.
use
They're
your
looking out for us, right?
platforms, you use your platforms to blow it up too. So not only did you pay the guy, but then when you air it, you make money. You're making ad revenue and everything else. And then on top of that, you're swaying public opinion and public discourse. You're changing the fate of our Republican democracy and able to impeach a former president.
It's a cabal of people, right?
Public school has done a very good job in this country.
At what? Indoctrinating the youth?
Yeah, what else do you call it? I mean, seriously, what else do you call it? I mean, there's far smarter people than me, man. I say it all the time. But just read the Constitution, man. Just fucking read it. It's like, I don't know, on those little pages, it's 3 pages. Like the actual Constitution's like 3 or 4 pages. They're big, but they're like 4 pages. You know what I mean?
It's 8 pages max if you consider standard paper.
They didn't write on the backside of it either. They're like, no, these are supposed to be like big and real easy to read. Just read that. Like, I don't know why we have this. It's so crazy. This is crazy, man.
For the record, if I'm available for sale, if Fox News wants to pay me $35,000, I'll film whatever the hell you want me to.
Yeah, Fox 2. I'll also spew heavily right-leaning propaganda for any amount of money on my program.
We're willing. Comment below if you want us to be propagandized.
Yeah, please. We'll wear sponsors. You know, I'll have like a Fox News tag on. I have no problem with that.
I don't care. If the Libertarian Party wants to pay me, I got a T-shirt I'll throw on. Pay me like $10 an episode. I don't care. I'm here to be sold.
Yeah, let's do it. LBT. LBTBWXYZ.
I'll rock a Rambo shirt. I don't give a shit.
It's just insulted like 7 groups of people.
Obviously, we kid.
They're jokes, people. Jokes. So yeah,
we're already getting big oil money. Come on.
So you want to round back to the big topic this week, David?
Yeah. I think all jokes aside, the biggest news of the week, and definitely the saddest news of the week, Rush Limbaugh has passed away. He was it. He was the guy when it came to conservative talk. There was no one bigger before him. There will be no one bigger after him.
A guy changed talk radio. He
did.
Literally invented
he took
a genre.
over the AM radio market when no one wanted to be there, and he made it his own.
He saw opportunity there. Radio legend, most listened to person in America. And he literally, what we're doing is because of him. We're standing on the shoulders of him.
Yeah.
You know, and we try to do our own thing in our own way, but it will always, Rush Limbaugh will never be forgotten for the generations of people right now. And it's incredible. He was actually, I know we've talked about it before, but you were actually, you know, you introduced me to him, and that's how I started with public radio and, you know, everything of that course. Like Rush Limbaugh was literally my door into this environment. And,
when we worked together, there were some days when Rush would be on the radio. And there'd be some complainers in the shop, but it's okay.
Trying to learn something. Okay. Remember when I got fired from there, and I was like, hey, I'm just trying to educate myself. Like, educate yourself on your own fucking time. Like, I'm not meant to work for other people, man. I'm not.
There was my introduction to him was through my dad. Not to get like too personal, but like my parents were split up when I was younger, so he'd come to get me on the weekends or whatever. But they'd always have like I don't know if it was like Saturdays or whatever, they'd like replay his shows throughout the week at certain times.
Like best
So
of or something.
every once in a while when we were in the car, I'd catch like some of it. And like I'm talking, I was pretty young, so when I first got introduced to it, I wasn't even really paying attention to it. But over the years, like he slowly grew on me. And I mean, no one ever agrees with anyone 100%. Like, there's things me and Ryan disagree on. There's things that me and Rush Limbaugh would disagree on. But at the end of the day, like what he did for the right, I mean, for lack of a better term, I mean, he did more than anybody
more than
anybody.
presidents do.
Yeah.
Like literally, the guy literally shaped the ideology of generations.
And when we talked about, holding people accountable, we were talking about maybe having a third party, or do we just need to have better voting, or to hold people accountable? Like, nobody held people accountable the way he did. I mean, he was probably, quite frankly, responsible almost solely for getting certain people elected. Maybe there's an argument to maybe should people have that kind of power, but it was just with his words. That's how convincing he was.
It's amazing they're fine when people have power like Brad Pitt that can go and flock and sell out arenas, or movie theaters, or comedians can sell out arenas, and there's no problem of influence there.
Yeah.
When you can sway the public with your beliefs and your talking points, and I don't think Rush lied to people. Rush believed that shit. He lived it and breathed it and believed it. And that's what he was so real and tangible, and people saw in his he was not that he didn't get personal or whatever, but he was open. He felt real when you listen to him. Like he was your rambling crazy ass grandpa. But that was really your crazy ass grandpa. Like he wasn't lying or something. What he said he believed, even if he wasn't always right.
To go further on your point, they don't have an issue with it when it's public education, or when it's the media, or when it's big tech, or when it's entertainment industry, or when it's whatever. They don't.
Or CNN paying a guy to,
Sure. They don't have any issue with any of that. But one voice on the right drove them absolutely crazy.
All right. So the real question is, who replaces Limbaugh? I know you can never replace him, but I mean, his influence. I mean, at least to my mind, you go Shapiro, right? I mean, I know Shapiro's not on radio.
He's probably the most like him.
He's the most marketable to the wider audience of America.
Sure. I don't think... I think the answer is it's going to be done by volume, and it's just going to be multiple people that attempt to replace him. I don't think there's ever no replacement for him.
It's like Rush's audience will almost evolve into maybe 5 or 6 different talk show hosts can kind of pick up bits of his audience. Maybe the Patriot movement, maybe that movement, that style of trained mind becomes regional for a little bit on the airwaves and with people, and then maybe over the next decade someone carves out a good niche.
Yeah, I mean, is it next? Yeah, I think, is it going to be Shapiro? Yeah, it's going to be Shapiro, and it's going to be Glenn Beck, and it's going to be Steven Crowder, and it's going to be...
Crowder was also on my list.
Yeah, all these people.
I kind of glossed over Beck, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I bring up Glenn Beck, his show, his actual show, maybe... It's a big show, don't get me wrong, but don't forget, he also owns Blaze Network, which... is home of Steven Crowder, which Steven Crowder still owns his own show and whatever, but Blaze Network is huge, way bigger than people think it is.
Yeah, Daily Wire's now Ben Shapiro stuff's getting into with that actress, which we didn't quite cover, but she came out and said what I don't even know, but the Mandalorian star or whatever, which I haven't seen Mandalorian, heard it's awesome. But yeah, she came out and said something, they canceled her, and then Shapiro, had her on. She had a tweet about, I believe it was about Nazis and Jews and stuff, basically, persecution. And, Shapiro defended her, and now Shapiro's working with her, rather.
I can't believe Shapiro would work with such an anti-Semite. She was so insensitive towards the Jews.
What a good launch, though, right? To just show the holes in their narrative, to be look, you say things about the right, you X and Y, and blah, blah, blah. oh well, here it's just going to show people's real character. I hope people are paying attention. But yeah, man, it sucks about Russian stuff, but I guess all we can do is keep talking about stuff that matters.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of people that have to, even like I said, try to. There's no replacement though.
yeah, we're standing in his shoe steps still. So the only other thing I really had to cover was just like the Texas freeze thing. I think you had a headline about it quick, but I wanted to kind of get your opinion. I don't want to beat over a horse or anything because obviously they're still going through it. People died and lost power. They weren't ready for it. It doesn't happen a lot. The windmills froze and this happened, and they're trying to paint Texas as a bad thing because they don't let the federal government regulate parts of their energy sector, and Texas makes a lot of energy, and it's bringing up a whole bunch of Texas independence and Texas past and the Texas way versus the federal government's way and regulation, and people are heavily criticizing Texas, obviously, because they're a Republican state right now in this climate, especially with all the COVID and their response. So it's like the perfect storm, and I don't want to like break any of that down because in the next coming weeks, this is obviously going to be something that we will be covering through our headline segment.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff with the energy, the stuff with why it happened, the stuff how we can prevent it, things with the windmills, things with their power grid, things with the deaths, things with lawsuits. It's all going to be coming. So I don't want to beat it like everybody else did this week, but I did want to get your take on the Ted Cruz thing because
yeah.
I like Ted Cruz. I like a lot of things about him, and I'm heavily on other politicians and stuff. But I don't know. Like, at what point, if you during a national disaster, if you could put your kids on an airplane and send them somewhere where nothing's fucked up, you're gonna do it, dude. If you can do it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. If I know a tornado is hitting, I'm leaving my house.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can't, I'm getting my kids on that damn airplane. If I whatever, put in whatever Twister movie you want.
Yeah, it's from him. It's all about perspective. So it wasn't a great look, to be perfectly honest. From a political standpoint, it opened the door to way too much criticism, and I think he knew that. But at some point, you have to put your politics behind you and do what's right for your family. I wouldn't stay there, quite frankly. I would leave if I had the resources and the means to.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of wealthy people did. Obviously, he gets a slack because he's a representative. I saw his Hannity segment. Ted Cruz kind of tried to get ahead of it, obviously, through the channels that would, be more fair to him.
Sure.
But, he said he froze for 2 days with his kids at the place. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like he... it's not like, oh, the store's coming, see you guys later. But dude, I would do everything in my power to get my kids out of crappy situations, and everybody would. It's just like you said, the perspective, because he's a Republican politician in Texas right now.
I guess the other question is too, like, what do they think he's going to do? What's he going to do? Hop in a salt truck and start driving down the road? Like, what do you? Is he going to hop up in the helicopter and start spraying the windmills down with the petroleum-based materials?
Well, right. That's what's crazy. They're showing videos of people plowing the highways. Like, what's Ted Cruz doing? Be like, I don't know. Something worked. Got plow trucks going. Like, policy's working somewhere, right? Like, look, people are trying to unthaw this shit, and they have the resources to get this shit done, huh? Looks like government actually, was doing what government's supposed to do. Good job.
Could you imagine a bunch of plow truck drivers just standing around like, I don't know what to do. Ted Cruz didn't tell us to plow yet.
We're waiting on a tax from Ted. Ted's supposed to tax us.
It's obviously politicians looking for cheap political punches.
It worked. That was a softie for them, man.
Sure.
Media smacked that.
I don't even blame them. Like, they're going to take advantage of it. I would take advantage of it too. But realistically, like, I don't know what you expect him to do. Like, I would do the same thing if I was him. I'd get out of town.
I gotta love with you. I don't know if I've ever bitched at a politician for like leaving during a state of emergency.
I'm trying to think if that's ever happened.
I'm trying to think too, but Yeah, maybe that, I got to be consistent myself. So, if this happens with Cuomo, for example, we'll see. But to his credit, anytime there's been a winter disaster here in my region of state, Cuomo does come into town.
Yeah, you can almost make somewhat of an argument, though, if it's something like a governor, too. Because, like, he's the guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even still, like, I don't know, can you still dictate things from a phone from a different state where you're safe?
Yeah, that's what Hannity said. He's like, we Zoom call everything now. He's like, I thought 2020 changed the way we did everything.
Sure. Okay, what difference does it make? He's in California, Cancun, Miami, Florida, or freezing his ass off in Texas with no power. Honestly, you can make the case he's going to be more effective with power somewhere else than he would be just freezing in his house, standing around like, man, I wish I had a generator. Where is he going to be most effective?
Yeah, it's amazing. They come out and be like, let first responders do their job. Be like, Ted Cruz isn't doing enough. Be like, what is he supposed to do? Drag people out of cars, like,
yeah.
Like you said, spray down the green energy with the oil. Frontline heroes. Exactly, Dave. Well, we name winter storms now. We just don't call it snow. It's Cleo or Josiah or Judah, whatever.
Is that a vortex or was that a snowstorm? I don't keep up on the modern.
I don't know. The last time we had a good one here, they named it Chloe. Polar Storm Chloe. Like, all right. Like, I just thought it was snow. Yeah, man, Texas freeze, man. It's a weird thing. Doesn't happen a lot, I guess, but I've also heard that this happened like 12 years ago. They had a problem with windmills freezing.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is, it's not. It happens so infrequently. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
you obviously have a fix for it. They're just not used to getting a fucking snowstorm.
Yeah, just like
once in 100 years.
If it was 120 degrees in Buffalo, New York, there might be some issues. People would be dying of dehydration.
Or if we had a tsunami, That'd be crazy. Tsunami in Buffalo. Yeah, man. So, I don't know. That's all I had with the Ted Cruz thing, the Texas thing. Like I said, I know it's going to get broken down. It's already been broken down, but we're going to be seeing this for probably another month at least in headlines. Decembertainment this week. I gotta level you. I didn't really consume anything. But what I did do, it was more personal for me this week, which was good. I filled up one of my notebooks. I have a writing in there that I will share at a future date with the podcast. Yeah, I know we talked about journaling and stuff, but to fill a journal, man, like it takes a lot of effort, conscious effort. And you don't necessarily think about it. I try to write every day, multiple pages a day. So like I've tried to put the practice that it just is my routine, right? Like it's just something I do, not something that I'm forcing to do. Just do it. But with that being said, you still struggle sometimes. You still itch it. You still fight through it. You get distracted, all the other things of life. But when I flipped through the book, it was pretty crazy. It was I've done a lot of writing digitally, so it's not the same satisfaction to like fill 100-page journal, both pages. Yeah, it's everybody write, man. It's the best shit you could ever do.
What do you do? Do you just like?
I do so much.
Do you like note day-to-day stuff, or do you just like? Do you do like poems and songs or something?
Yeah, I do. I do like poetry rapping. I do just creative writing. I've tried writing like little creative stories, like a fantasy story, which I kind of don't do a lot of that. A lot of diaries. I just make like content, like we film the podcast and stuff, but like I just try to like create content for myself, like that personal content. That's the way I look at it. Like I'm storing it like a database, and especially the diaries are good to like go back and reflect, or go back and be like, oh, I used to think this and now I have this, or I was driving this car, now I'm driving this car. Like it's a good benchmark. It's a good goalpost. It's a good way to, maybe it helps you keep sharp. And I also heard recently that when you write something down in your head on paper, it moves it in your head. and puts it in like long-term storage, basically. So like it becomes everlasting more. So like, right, man. Like people are right, man. The way I've been figuring a lot lately too is my mind's running a lot when I'm laying down in bed, and I think that tells me I didn't get all my thoughts out for the day. So I've been really trying to be disciplined with the writing.
Do you sleep better after you write?
Yeah,
like,
way more tired, like physically tired. Well, like my thing is, everybody's like physically tired. It's my mind, man. Like literally, there comes a lot of the times I go to sleep is just because I physically can't. You know what I mean? Like I physically need to lay down, but my head's still going sometimes.
Yeah.
But on days like on Thursday, Friday in particular, I wrote a lot. And when I came home after work and after all day, and I was a lot more tired, like mentally tired. And I had better days the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's the bandwidth, like you're overloaded. And when we get Neuralinks, it will kind of remove that for you. You won't have to write it down.
I'm super excited for mine.
It's I don't want mine in my head.
Comment below if you're getting a Neuralink when it comes out.
Neuralink.
Someone reach out to Elon Musk for me. Tell him I want to shove one into my head.
Yeah. So it helped. It's helped me a long time. I've done a long time. It's not something like I said, I had to build a routine around it. But I've fallen off it and I've climbed back on it. But I know it makes me a better person. It makes for better content, and it also makes for a better podcast at December 1773. Appreciate everybody watching, and stay subscribed to the channel. Swipe up, comment, like, subscribe. Give me your favorite headline. Tell Dave he needs to make me a shirt.
I actually sent Eve a picture because I'm not going to name names, but somebody put in the comment section that he's like, "Where the fuck's my shirt?" not in such terms, but we're working on it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's a great shirt.
I appreciate the weekly show. It's one of 3 shirt designs made by Dave and the old lady.
You guys want the white shirt with the black logo, right? Larges, 2 larges.
Yeah. No, I want the opposite. Actually, I want a white shirt with a black logo.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that's what your dad wants to.
Yeah, we'll look like Spy vs. Spy if you ever play that game.
Paper mache Jesus.
Paper, dude. Real quick before I go. Oh, I told my dad about all that, like my plan, dude. We laughed a good, hard, long time about it, but I'm told I'm serious, right? So now every time I talk to him, basically his day-to-day journey is now known as adding layers. We're gonna have to get a mud flap soon, He's just carrying around so much shit. Alright, I'm out, man. Thanks for everybody watching. Have a good week. Tune in 7 o'clock. This drops on Mondays. We record weekly, and see you guys next week. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Peace, guys.